Welcome back to the Blockchain Show. This is episode number 223.
The Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology.
I know I say this a lot, but we truly have a special guest today, Katie Chonacas, an international actor and NFT artist. Yeah, Katie, welcome to the Blockchain Show. How are you today?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Congratulations on your podcast. How cool. I wish I started mine 5-6 years ago.
Well, thank you. I know that you have one of your own. Definitely want to learn all about you and the NFT background. It's something that we've been doing is talking about how people got interested in blockchain. So if you wouldn't mind telling me like when it was that you first heard about it and then kind of realized this is a viable thing that I want to put my energy into.
Sure. Yeah. Great questions. Well, my podcast is called She's All Over the Place. Literally, that's my whole life, all over the place. And that's exactly what happened. I've just been following the flow and the instincts of my life. Whatever, excited me with travel, food, culture, people, the arts, everything you can think of under the arts. And, people are like, focus on one thing. And it was so difficult to focus on one thing because life is so beautiful. There's so many things to experience. How can you just focus on one thing? And all these other things kept popping up. But in 2018, because I went to DJ music school and I was a DJ and I have my own controller, a friend of mine said, hey, there's this, event downtown, and it was downtown LA. It was the 11/11 Fund, and they were raising funds for the blockchain, and All Public Art was putting on this event. And there were physical paintings and artists at this art show. And there was like a sushi chef and like all these like young, hot, gorgeous, beautiful people, this buzz, this energy going on. And I curated some vendors. My friend Jeff Carrillo, who owns Starfire Water, and Yoniverse came, and I invited friends and my duo from the Sophisticated Psychos. We DJ'd this blockchain party, and it was called 11/11 Fund, and that's my birthday. And I was there a day before checking out the space, the venue. Like as a DJ, you show up, you check out the space, the venue. Since there was artwork there, and I was like, oh, this is dope. I show up with my Keith Haring hoodie. They're like, oh, you're an artist as well. Like you can put your artwork up. So I put 7 pieces of my physical artwork up to sell them as NFTs. So my very first experience that I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what a blockchain was. I just knew I was like DJing this event, and now my artwork's up as NFTs. So I had a 2-in-1 experience when I started in 2018. And then right after that, like right after it, there were events in the Hollywood Hills, like Larry King was there. He was speaking on the Gear Foundation, GEAR. You can Google and look about it. It was like they were raising funds for the blockchain for the environment. And so then I was like hosting and curating these influencer dinners and doing giveaways for private jet experiences for like whoever like gets the prize. As a producer, I would set this up, and like a guest and someone would get a private jet experience. And then it was like being flown to New York, and I was at the Baccarat, and there were they were spending like $4,000 on dinner, and I was inviting like all these like high society people in New York, and for this event for like this new thing, blah blah blah, and everyone was just curious to come see like what it was, and a reason to get dressed up and mingle with friends and stuff. So it was like so over my head. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just in it. But that's who I am as a person, as an artist. I just like show up, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's make it happen. And I help create and curate things like that. So that went on for a while, and then I took a trip across America, and then I went to Greece for the summer. I kind of just like went on with my life because I left LA, and I was going to Atlanta, but then I ended up in New York City, and I was just kind of like doing my thing. And then when the world shut down, I was introduced to Pi by my friend. And so I started digital mining Pi, and I'm still doing it to this day. And I onboarded, I think like 44 people in my first day. So that was really cool. And then shortly after, there was a huge announcement about Blau and how he revolutionized the music industry. Well, before he did, I was there for it, because when the announcement of Blau happened and how he was taking an album from 3 years prior and putting on an auction on the blockchain, And I was there for the auction, and I was there watching the bids on it and the hype and the excitement. And I was in Clubhouse at the time too. Like it sold, and I think it was like over 16 million or something like that. And then 2 weeks later, Grimes released her album on Nifty Gateway. It went on an auction for over 6 million. And then Beeple had his whole experience. So that's when I got like the second wave again, I guess you would say, right? And then I released my first NFT when I released my poetry book, A Lover's Fairy Tale, in March of 2020, or was it 2021? Oh gosh, I mean, it's like we skipped a whole year. You know what I mean? It's like, was it 2020 or 2021? So it was the top of 2021. So it felt like 2020, but it was the top of 2021. I released my first NFT. I released the first love poem on the blockchain that's coupled with an original Polaroid made by the company Polaroid. Super rare, because the thing about NFTs, when I was learning about them, it's like, oh, super rare, have them be super rare. And my friend Robert Sturman's the artist of that piece. And then I did the poetry. It's the first poem. And I was planning to release every single one of the poems. And then I have since then. But yeah, and so that was really exciting. And then I was just in Clubhouse rooms, nonstop, networking, socializing with people, doing my own research, learning, just like really into it, finding out who and what I connected with, what I aligned to. And someone sent me an article, and it was a Variety article. It came out on January 12th saying only 5%, of the divine feminine are in the space. So I was like, oh, wow. But I have been, I would say, head on with Web3 since March 2021. So I first got introduced in 2018. It was brushstrokes. I think 2021 March is when I became head on. And then when I became super, super focused, like when I'm obsessing, eating, living, breathing, fully Web3 was, I think, Art Basel December in 2021, when I was able to meet people IRL.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Man. And I sold 2 of my music NFTs to Blake Jameson. So I'm one of the very first female identifying non-binary artists who have sold music NFTs. So, I mean, there's a lot of buzz. They're going to pop off. Like all the time music industry, there's in any industry, there's, things, and it's a long road ahead. But I'm very proud to say, I actually sold 2 of my first, two of my music NFTs, and being on the forefront of that makes me very harmonious and very, very proud.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Even if we're talking about traditional ways to get music out there or art, it's always been a challenge for creative types to succeed financially, to keep making their artwork. But I see this new, paradigm, Web3, as an empowering tool for people to be able to not only fund their projects, but make like a livable wage. And I know lots of talented people who I'm trying to tell them, man, if you could just make it NFTs, I think you'd get a lot of success. And they're like, well, first you got to explain what's an NFT, and then you got to explain how do you do it. So do you have any advice to people out there who maybe know about NFTs, but they don't know how to create them?
Yeah, totally. Great question. And it's a lot of energy trying to explain it to people, because you know in your mind, and you're telling them in one script, in one sentence. So I think the best thing you can do to take action, and myself, which I already have, if it's music NFT related stuff, I have a note that says music NFT. And if I see something interesting and awesome that another friend to onboard or artist should know about, I just create links for music NFTs. If it's TV, film, voiceovers, I have one that says like Hollywood Entertainment. And I put those links together, because then I can just forward the email and they can do their own research. And most people don't, because a lot of people are lazy. But if they're interested, you've done your due diligence by onboarding to educate people in such a way to give them enough ammunition to do their own research and to get excited. But instead of just like saying, oh, this thing, and then explaining it, it's just, I've already done that because I'm a very ambitious person. But I created a pink sheet that I can share with you that you can give to everyone. But I created a pink sheet of divine feminine energies that I respect and admire in the industry, in addition to some other people on there I don't know them personally, but because of who they are and what they're doing in the space on different levels, development, all areas that someone could be interested in, it's on an Excel sheet and it says who they are and what they do, where they can follow them on Twitter, follow them on their journey, and then they can be in Twitter spaces and be notified when they're in spaces so they can listen and research and ask questions and to learn. Because you've been in the space since 2016, you said. I've been since 2018. So, for me, it's brushstrokes of psychology. It's, before you dropped in, it's a psychological thing before it's going to click and people understand, because people are brainwashed and by their circumstances. We are very primal beings, but we're domesticated when we come into the world by generations and by our parents and the people who raised us, who are just doing their best, and the school systems who are doing their best from what they've been told to do. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It was just that's what was taught. And now this is a whole new world. Like, whether people understand and realize it or not, like, people are already operating in a whole new way of being. And we hear these great blastful stories, and then we hear some like maybe horror stories. I don't, because I don't watch the news, but you hear brushstrokes of scams and things of that nature. So that's why it's do your own research. And I'm all about ethics. And I like to teach NFT ethics and, the psychology of NFTs, so people can approach it that way. And I think because I grew up running cross country with short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, I understand the formula of, sowing a seed and having the long-term vision. It's just who I am and how I am. But explaining it to people like as one-offs is, I think it's a waste of your time and my time and energy. I mean, we get excited. So if we want to share something, but then it's going to be a lot of domino effects of energy that we're sharing. So the best calculated way we can do, I think, is have it all organized. And so I started, building it and just kind of continuing to organize it and share it with people. Because, if it gives them something, then you can see if they go and do the research. And then if it's reciprocal, they energetically come back to you and say, hey, Ethan, thanks so much for this. This is what I learned. Or, hey, do you know about this? And then they can start feeding you energy instead of you just always giving stuff out, because that's not fair. Like, it needs to be reciprocated. And for people who honor and admire and respect you and who you are as a human, it's a two-way street.
You're right. It's a lot of energy. I should probably put a page on our website where people can just condense a lot of this great information that we've gotten over the years. And I used to talk about non-fungible tokens and people's eyes would just glaze over. So I like the NFT rebranding, if you want to call it that, because people are like, oh, I know about that. But a lot of people, I think they think it's like a get rich quick scheme, which I'm trying to dispel, because I don't like that aspect of it. There is that out there.
Yeah, I would say don't waste your time on trying to dispel, because it's going to be an uphill battle. There's over 8 billion people in the world. Like, we're not going to please everyone. It's going to suck our energy. It's all about energy. It's going to like take away from, like the ones who are going to get it. Like, my cousin taught me, I think it was my cousin. We have two options. One, people can come up and meet us to where we are. We can go down to where they are. Right. And sometimes we compassionately go down to where they are. But if we stay down there, then it like kind of diminishes our light. So stand in your light and people can rise to you, because you've been in the space since 2016. So, I mean, that's going to be a lot of trying, but you have your podcast. So it's like, you can be like, here's the link. You know what I mean? Listen to 223 episodes.
Yeah, that's probably the best. I just don't want to come off as like trying to make people listen to my show. That's, you know what I mean? Like,
no, but that's really good for you, because I'm here to hack that for you. And no, I mean, that's one of the reasons why you do your show. You do your show, you hold space, you have some kind of duty and mission in the world to share this information with people. It's your gift, you have these shows, like you have like double the amount of shows I think that I have. So, I mean, not to compare, but it doesn't matter what other people think about you. We don't need to people please other people, what they think. We're only responsible for what we share. We're not responsible for how they take our greatness and what we gift to people. What you do is a gift. I mean, podcasting alone, it's an independent thing. It's not, it's cool if you have sponsors and stuff like that, but you know what it takes to have a podcast, and a lot of people don't. But go on with your bad self and shamelessly plug it away. Don't need the validation from other people and what they think. Not at all. I honor you and I just met you. Like for you to have this, it's so cool. It's so advanced. So it just needs to be reciprocated and aligned to people who are going to honor and appreciate who you are and the work you've done thus far.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And the people who aren't, it's not for them.
Yeah, it is a responsibility because we've definitely had, I think, maybe two guests come on that it turned out to be a little bit scammy. And we reached out to those companies to try to get them back on to talk about what happened, and they wouldn't respond. And that was early enough on when it was like still kind of new. That hit me really hard because like there's people listening.
There's this person who he contacted me 3 times. Then he had his podcasting people contact me nonstop. He's marketing. He charges people $900 for 30 minutes. And he teaches them the marketing, how to sell out. He sells out these companies, and they work with an influencer agency where these influencers are just getting paid. They have no idea who these people are. They're just taking the money and running. And so they're helping the project get sold out. That's like an unethical thing to do because these influencers, like I just saw one the other day, I guess Floyd Mayweather got because he got paid some money, and it was a big scam. There was a rug pull of a project he was a part of. And, they scam the people out of the money, but people who are Mayweather fans didn't do their own research. They're just wanting to be a part of it because they trust Mayweather, and that's your own credibility and accountability. So, and I guess he's doing some other project now. I just saw this on Twitter, but I was like, oh my gosh. So it's like these people who are these influencers who have no idea the culture, the ethics, the community, the psychology, where we're going for the long game. They're just stuck in this 2D materialistic world still. They're the ones that are giving the bad reputation. So I can't have this person on my podcast. Like I cannot have this person, although I'm like, oh, I think this is amazing because like I can get this insight, and like it'd be awesome to do an exchange and then like have my project sell out. That's amazing. Like that's so cool. But ethically, I can't do that because it's not about the quantity, it's the quality, and I think if people had that, in their heart and soul, and they were more authentic to those kind of things, then I think we would hear less experiences of the scams and the rug pull that give Web3 a bad reputation. But that's a part of life. There's going to be good and bad with everything. But when people hear this episode or do their own research and hear more, they'll have better antlers. But, if we can dispel those things, eradicate them, at the root is better.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a good learning experience, and we've since addressed it on the show. Like for a while, we were just talking to tech startups for like over a year, hey, how are you making this work? How's this company working? And there's been maybe one episode that I've recorded that I just deleted before I even put out because I'm like, I can't put this out. It's sad because it's a lot of work going through all that. But anyways, yeah.
I'm very like Libra, like I'm the Plato, just and unjust. And if something's unjust, it's like, I have to eradicate it. That's just me personally, Oh,
I'm a Libra.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Scorpio, but like my rising's a Libra or something like that. So it's the balancer. When's your birthday?
October 6th.
My sister's is the 7th. Cool. Mine's 11/11.
Yeah, we actually had an astrologer on one time. It was funny. It did really well in China, but we had like 2 really bad comments. So like, don't have witches and speakers of darkness on a technology podcast.
Okay. Say thank you for your comment. Next, have whoever you want on. It's your show.
He's really interesting. I know him. He did like this show on Gaia TV where
Oh, who?
Robert Phoenix is his name.
I'll have to look it up. I have Gaia. I got it for my mom as a gift. I love Gaia.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it because he was like charting Bitcoin, and I was just kind of
dope.
Just learning about all the houses and the signs, and I'm like, what if there's some like universal connection to the creation of a new currency? Let's explore that. And it wasn't that bad. It was more topical, if anything, than else.
Everything connects. So I would probably invite him for the show for season 5. Right now, I'm focused on women empowerment and divine femininity. So I'm holding space for female identifying humans, LGBTQA+, people of color, things of that nature, and exploring divine femininity of Mother Nature. So even though it's an NFT podcast, that's what I'm focused on. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely, I would love to have you on for season 5. I would have this person on for season 5, but because they do connect in some wise, weird way. It's good to see like different perspectives on things, and it's fun. Why not? It's like unique.
It's definitely fun to talk to you. Sorry, I've been kind of rambling. I wanted to ask you about your podcast and that NFT aspect, because I know you got to get going. We've talked about putting the show on the blockchain for years, back when it was like, how could you do that? Or maybe setting up like a micro transaction type thing. Someone could send us like a fraction of a penny if they liked something. And we've had so many ideas over the years, but it sounds like you're actually kind of implementing some really cool things with your podcast. If you'd like to share that with us.
So I wanted to release my podcast over a year ago. And I was going to release them all with this company, but thank goodness I didn't, because I have a new psychology of what I'm going to do. But for the first 10 or 11, I'm going to release them on Heylayer. It's a platform called HEYLAYER. We could have the information in the show notes. I have 3 collections with them right now. I have a collection on Opensea as well. But my 4th collection with Heylayer is April 4th. It's going to drop. And I'm going to take the first 10 or 11 episodes of my podcast. They're shorter episodes, and I'm going to release them one as one. That's what I'm going to do. So I'll have an official NFT podcast on the blockchain. She's all over the place. Probably be one of the very first, maybe the first. I don't know if anyone else has done it yet. Maybe I'll be the first. Definitely one of the first. We'll find out. And I'm going to release the first 10 or 11. They're going to be one-on-ones. However, starting episode 11, I started having guests on. So what I'm going to do, instead of releasing full episodes like I'm doing right now, one-of-one, I'm going to break those up. So I have like Marissa Peer. She's a leading hypnotherapist in the world. She's amazing. And I have some like pretty prolific people. Billy Carson, who has his own TV show. He has 2 TV shows, I think, on Gaia. He's amazing. Forbidden Knowledge. And so I'm going to take these episodes and I'm going to chop them into segments and have them be available for, a multitude of people, and make it very diverse and chop them up. So people are getting more value, more utility, and having more segments. I definitely love the place that I love what you said about like, people being able to, pay through ETH or Polygon or some kind of cryptocurrency for the podcast. I would like to talk to you more about doing that, because maybe that's something I would, in the near future would like to do as well. But I definitely want to offer utility to the people where it's like, they're in this exclusive group where they're getting content first, like exclusivity to certain merch, getting shout outs on my podcast, like some brands or some people, maybe they'd want to like a shout out for purchasing the NFT. Ultimately, the people who are going to pick it up, it's going to be a fun hobby, cool thing to collect, cool thing because they like you, they like who you are, what you're about, and they want to support you as an individual, right? Because people are like, oh, you could just go listen to it on 31 different platforms. Like, people are like, why would I do it when I can just like screenshot the Mona Lisa or screenshot the like blah, blah, blah. But you don't own the copyright, right? So it's usually the utility that comes behind the MP4, the MP3, or the JPEG. So it's going to be someone who like honors me and like likes me as an actor, a voiceover actor, who likes me as a human being, because I'm, doing my best to serve and, utilize my voice to shed light and positivity. And, someone wants to, be a part of that. So getting people who are involved in the environment, or like GoFundMe, or, one of those things, and putting it together in like a 1-2 minute thing. There are people out there in the world who want to help people like us, and there's grants and things of that nature. So we just need to, like what I said at the beginning of the show, is where we put our energy and how we're putting things out, right? So when we're putting this stuff out, if it's not reciprocated, our antlers are going in the wrong direction. So how can we position ourselves so we're going to be fed, because we need to eat, and we're putting this stuff out, and it's our passion, it's our drive, it's what we know, it's all we know. We have to stay core. We get to stay, true to our core and keep aligning our authenticity to that, no matter if the masses are against it. It's just the nature of life. Most people are going to be against or ask why someone's doing something. not always just judging you, just out of curiosity. The number one emotion is curiosity. A lot of people are like, why? Well, why not? You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I'm releasing my podcast as an NFT podcast on April 4th, which I'm really excited about. And then from there on out, I'm going to be releasing the rest of the episodes, not all at one time. I'm going to like roll them out. Like, I'm going to take my time, like a month from now, another month from now, I'm going to roll them out, and I'm not going to rush because it's still earlier on, where I want to make sure I'm adding a lot of value, seeing what works and what doesn't work, so that I can tweak, with myself and my team of what I want to do. In every single one of my collections, I always gift a % to a nonprofit, something or someone I believe in. So, this one women empowerment series I dropped in March, 20% of each NFT goes to the Ukraine crisis Red Cross, right? And I onboarded people into Web3, and I honored people in the Web3 space, not only women, but people celebrating divine femininity in all genders. So this podcast, I haven't decided yet, but I sponsored this girl in the Philippines, since I was 17. Her family, her parents, her 2 brothers, I helped them go through college and everything. So maybe this one I'll dedicate 20 or 30% that'll be gifted to her, because I've been sponsoring her my whole life. So for your podcast, instead of taking 100% of the proceeds, I mean, you can, whatever, do what you want. But I like to gift 20 because for me, it's not about the money. Like, it's important to get money and to sell, and it's exciting and it feels good. And yes, I want the money, but also it makes me feel good helping other people. So I gift a lot of the collections, 20, 30% to something. And then what I'm going to do, I don't have to do it for the first 10, 11 episodes because it's just me solo. But moving forward, I'm going to gift 10% to the guest. And then that's going to be a lot of energetic paperwork and all that stuff. So I'm going to find out like a happy medium. I'm going to gift them 10%, or I'm going to give them the option for me to take that % and gift it to the nonprofit or something that I'm giving it to. So I'll have a letter and I'll reach out and I'll maybe ask them. I'm still in the works about that. But originally I was like, I'll just give them 10%, but maybe I won't. And I'll just put it towards the nonprofit. We'll see. Well, because a lot of people, they may feel like, hey, like I'm not getting a percentage of this. So I think the ethical thing for me to do is offer it to people, the 10%, and then gift 20, 30% to a nonprofit, and then give them the option if they want their 10% or it to go to the nonprofit.
Yeah, I love that. That speaks a lot to your character, You're a good person.
You're very sweet. And then I also learned, when you have projects, you have like a community pot, you have a development pot. So I think like I'll create a pot that goes to the podcast where I can reinvest X amount of the proceeds, maybe 20% of the proceeds for the podcast, right? I have an independent podcast, so I can utilize those funds for the podcast, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Reinvest and keep growing, Well, oh man, I gotta let you go because you got other things to do, but you said a lot of awesome stuff that we gotta have another conversation sometime because you hit on some really good points. But just want to say thank you for coming on, and if you want to let us know where we can go to interact and maybe even buy some NFTs.
Yeah, pick up some of my NFTs on my website, my social media, my contact. I do industry coaching, my reels, everything, voiceover acting. It's all on my website. So Chonacas.com, Chonacas is my website, and has all my NFT collections on there. Everything's on there. So reach out and say hi, and check out She's All Over the Place podcast. Definitely.
All right, will do. Well, thank you so much, Katie. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so excited. Thank you. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Katie, again, for joining us on this episode. A few of the previous episodes we mentioned, it's been over a year for this one, 119, My Crypto Wallet with Jared Koenigsman. So Steve and I will hopefully be doing an update on that. The other episode we've actually addressed already. It was in regard to episode 120, Verity with Martin McEln. And Steve and I talked about that on episode 141, about them going bankrupt. So, and also keep in mind that We don't offer any investment advice. That's not what we're here for. That's all for this week. Thanks again.